Welcome to the Unwashed Asses, episode 113, recorded for Wednesday, May 29th, 2019. Help! I've been hacked! Or so this email claims. Last week on the 20th, I received an email, which I didn't see until the 22nd. Essentially, I got an email last Monday saying that I had been compromised and that I had 48 hours to respond to their demands. I guess let's start at the beginning here. Wednesday I was checking my email, and because I like to think that I keep a pretty tight grip on my email. Like, I manage my junk mail, I have rules set up, I unsubscribe from newsletters. Like, I don't get a whole lot of clutter. I'm very thorough in that, and as such, I don't get a whole lot of junk mail. The junk mail I do get, I check about once a week. I'll go through it, and there's not many pieces. So last Wednesday was one of those days where I'm going through my junk mail, and I noticed something a little unusual, something that sticks out a little bit, and mostly because it's an email supposedly from myself using my custom domain. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with the robo spam calls that everybody's been getting for months and months and months. These are notable not just because of the number of calls that we're receiving, but the fact that they're spoofing telephone numbers. And, it could be things like, oh, supposedly it's your mother calling, or your pediatrician, or whomever. It's essentially a known contact, but when you answer the phone, it's not that person. It is instead a spam call, like, oh, we're calling about the warranty on your car, or this is so-and-so from Visa Credit Services. It's garbage. And the problem with it is, because it is spoofing somebody else's number, you can't block the number, because you would essentially be blocking that contact. And rather than getting down a rabbit hole with why those calls aren't being blocked, we're just going to stick with, all right, we have a known quantity that there are these spam calls coming out. Something similar appeared to have happened with my email, where I received an email from myself that said the following. Hi, stranger. I hacked your device because I sent you this message from your account. If you have already changed your password, my malware will be intercepts it every time. You may not know me, and you are most likely wondering why you're receiving this email, right? In fact, I posted a malicious program on adults, quotation, pornography, of some websites, and you know that you visited these websites to enjoy. Again, in quotes here, you know what I mean. While you were watching video clips, my Trojan started working as a RDP, remote desktop, with a keylogger that gave me access to your screen as well as a webcam. Immediately after this, my program gathered all your contacts from Messenger, social networks, and also by email. What I've done? I made a double screen video. The first part shows the video you watch, quotations, you have good taste, yes, but strange for me and other normal people, end quotes. And the second part shows the recording of your webcam. What should you do? Well, I think $550 is a fair price for our little secret. You will make a Bitcoin payment, quotations. If you don't know, look for how to buy Bitcoins on Google. It has the Bitcoin address. This is case sensitive. Please copy and paste it. Remarks. You have 2 days, quotes, 48 hours to pay. I have a special code, and at the moment I know that you have read this email. If I don't get Bitcoins, I will send your video to all your contacts, including family members, colleagues, etc. However, if I am paid, I will immediately destroy the video, and my Trojan will destruct some self. If you want to get proof, answer yes, and resend this email to yourself. And I will definitely send your video to your any 19 contacts. This is a non-negotiable offer, so please do not waste my personal and other people's time by replying to this email. Bye. So, I didn't misspeak in any of that. That was just really piss poor grammar put together, which, I mean, we're used to in spam email. So initially I was concerned that, someone may or may not have hacked my email because I've not seen it where an email address had been spoofed before. I was open to the concept, but I had not seen it in practice. Now, for those that know me, I spent several years working as an IT professional, and things like this were kind of my bread and butter. Dealing with ransomware, spyware, essentially Trojans, things that are designed to do this, where they get onto the computer, they will root up your information and either send it back to a remote server, give remote access to your computer, or essentially encrypt the drive, ransom it. Like, I know how to find these things, how to identify them, how to remove them, and as such, I'm, fairly decent at maintaining my own network and systems. And the problem with that, though, is no matter how confident I am in my IT work, I am extremely paranoid. Like, I am almost, I don't want to say clinical, but like more so than the average bear, I'm super paranoid about stuff, because I realize that despite, my extensive pools of knowledge to draw from and experience, there is a fuckload that I don't know. And it doesn't help that I listen to shows like Darknet Diaries, which, once every 2 weeks you'll get a story about how someone found an open port on X number of routers and were able to gain access innocuously before, a patch had been implemented by the manufacturer. So I'm always worried, like, yes, I know there are a lot of people out there that know a lot more about this stuff than I do, and I have, a very small but still persistent online presence where it isn't hard to identify, me and find my stuff and target me. But that being said, again, I'm a nobody, so nobody really would target me to begin with. But my paranoia screams otherwise. Oh no, they're fucking you over exclusively, and here's this thing that they're doing. So I had checked my junk mail, and I found this on Wednesday. And again, I had received the email on Monday. So when I had checked it, like, we had the Majora's Mask, like, intro screen, like, dawn of the final day. So I'm thinking it's a joke. Like, yeah, the paranoid part of my brain is going to make me investigate this and do, like, a full audit on my systems. But at the same time, like, I'm not too nervous about it. So I go on the Discord server and I throw up a mock message, saying, here's what happened, and I apologize for anybody in my contacts list that you're probably going to see some really messed up stuff. And then I begin my audit. I check the router, I check my systems, and, do full sweeps, and everything's coming back clean, much like I expected it to. So then, at this point, now that I'm relatively secure in the knowledge that, nothing has been compromised, I can now begin investigating the email. Like, all right, who did it actually come from? Where are they located? So on and so forth. And this led me down a fun little rabbit hole in that I don't really have much opportunity to flex those IT muscles, I guess, or security muscles, where, like, I used to do this, day in, day out for years and years, and since I have changed careers, it's not something I get to delve into often. Every now and then work presents me with the opportunity, like if I go to a business and their network's having issues, I can, due to corporate policy, like I operate in a very hands-off capacity, but I still like to go through the mental gymnastics of it. And I guess that's what drives me most is I like the puzzles. I like figuring things out and implementing solutions. And so since I haven't really had an opportunity to do this in, years, like, this is fun, running my anti-malware software and combing through my logs and double checking settings, because not only is it a good opportunity to, one, if there is an infection, I need to find it and I need to get it removed and repair any damage. Two, it allows me the opportunity to go through and like double check things and make sure there's nothing that I can implement better, because it's almost like a penetration test where a corporation will hire out a private security team to essentially try and break their network, try and get in and get what information they can. And so this affords me the opportunity to just double check what I've got going on, kind of like a medieval fortress. Like, all right, let's take stock of what we've got going on, revise any plans, and make sure we're up to date. It's kind of like spring cleaning, I guess. And metaphor upon metaphor here, but essentially it all breaks down to that. It's spring cleaning, and it gives me the peace of mind that I've done what I'm able to do. So I've done that. The computers are fine, the tablet's fine, the phones are fine. Like, everything that I have connected to this network, I go through it thoroughly, and then I go to the email and I see. And this is the one thing, like, I wish, like, I use Outlook. I am a huge fan of Microsoft's products and services in general. I've loved Windows from the get-go. Microsoft Office Suite is fantastic, and I have loved Outlook for email to the point where I went ahead and purchased my own Exchange server to run my email out of, just because, one, when I got into the online community, things started off with Hotmail, and Hotmail, it dates you, and for whatever reason people rag on it, like, oh, I've got a fancy Gmail account. So yeah, while Hotmail accounts still exist, it's like, all right, well, I have my own website. Let's be a bit professional about it. Let's just register my domain with an Exchange server, and then I can have my own custom email address, which I think is snazzy. I like to give out cards, or when I write down on a slip of paper, or somebody asks my email address, like, here is my email. It is mine. I have created it. I am a step above the unwashed asses of humanity, because how often is it? It's usually like, oh, my name is samxxkitty2@gmail.com. Like, there were a lot of other Sams, and so then you had to like add something else. And like, I like cats, let me throw Sam Kitty on there, but there was already another Sam Kitty, so you had to go with Sam Kitty2. But with an Exchange server, like, I have my domain, I can assign the email addresses I want, so it's easy enough. Like, here's my name at domain whatever. So I like that. But in using the Exchange server, I use Outlook's mobile app for checking my email, as do really anybody in either a corporate environment or folks that have Exchange servers, or even use Microsoft email, be it Outlook, Hotmail, whatever. Odds are you've downloaded the Outlook app if you're using their email services. The problem with that, very long way of getting to it, is that when you check the sent from, you can't get the real email address itself. So in this case, where sending things like using an alias or sending on behalf of has been around for ages, with the mobile app, you can't view that information, or at least if you can, I'm not seeing an easy way to do it. Whereas if you have, if you're going through your browser, or if you're using the Outlook desktop client, it's easy enough to get more details. Like, all right, well, here's the email address it says it's from, but who is it really from? And so in this case, I have my email address via defense-arab.com. So yeah, that gives me a jumping off point. That gives me somewhere to start looking. So the initial instinct is, all right, well, let's go ahead and just check the website itself. And it looks like a very militaristic, ISIS-esque website. I'm like, all right, this just probably got me on a list. But since, I've used VPNs and private browsing, like, I'm not super worried about it. But, it's like, all right, this raises a bit of a red flag. So then we get into the other tools as far as like, all right, well, let's check the IP info on it. Let's see where it's originating from. Let's see who's hosting the website. And essentially, based on what I was able to find, is that there are several. It's almost like a shell company game where, like, okay, this company is actually run by this company, which is actually run by this company, and it goes down like this rabbit chain of false leads. And the similar situation happens here with defensearab.com, where it's registered by one company, which is then registered by another, and you're just kind of bopping all around. But it got to the point where I was able to locate, I think, relatively securely, like, I'm not securely, confident in the knowledge that I've identified not only who it was, but where they were, what their phone number is, who the hosting information provider is. So at that point, you know, you do the ethical thing of like, all right, let's contact the hosting provider, say, all right, this email address associated with your hosting services via this website was sending out this email, essentially trying to extort users, and let the hosting providers take it from there. Not the first I've had to do something like this, but it's like, it's that little bit of detective work that makes it feel worthwhile. Like, oh, here's something ethical where I can dig up information on somebody, you know, dust off the cobwebs in terms of, you know, forensics work with computers, and you know, unravel a little bit of mystery, solve a little puzzle, and pass the information off to the correct people so that they can deal with it. Will something happen with it? I don't know. Probably not. If something does happen, odds are this person's just going to register another domain, either with that provider or with another provider, and just kind of get back up to their own antics. It's not difficult to do something like this. It can be easy money because, again, it was my bread and butter. Like, day in, day out, people would bring in their computers with all sorts of malware on it that was mostly just trying to get money out of them. It was a big span for a couple years where I would call it the monster of the month, where essentially every month a different variant of the same type of infection would roll out. You might remember them where after you got infected, it would pop up on your screen saying like FBI or DEA or some other official government-looking agency, and it would lock control out of your computer, but it would prompt you to go get like a prepaid card from like Walgreens or whatever, send them the card information, and then they would unlock your computer. Essentially, they were screen lockers. And once you had figured out how to remove them, like, okay, it's just essentially just a variation on this, and like I know where all this stuff is located, and it wasn't hard to, you know, not only restore usability of the computer, but to remove the infection and then, you know, recover and restore any information. So I don't know. It's kind of like I feel like I'm sounding like an asshole when I talk about it this way. Like, I'm very confident in my ability to handle things like this, but like, oh yeah, well, I can totally take care of stuff like this. It's not a problem, and I'm so awesome. Like, I fucking hate that, but at the same time, it's like, yes, this is kind of my wheelhouse. But anywho, yeah, that was a fun little experiment. It makes me excited to do more things. Like, okay, well, maybe I should, you know, take some online courses in like ethical hacking and you know, drum up my old Linux VM and start, you know, working again and not to do anything malicious with it, but more so knowledge for the sake of knowledge, like learning how to do it and getting back on the bike, because I miss things like this. So thank you to random extortion asshole for sending me that email. You rekindled my enthusiasm for IT and all things involved with it. But that's going to wrap this show up. If you have your own stories about hacking and computers and things gone awry, or you just have any of your own comments, concerns, questions, criticisms, complaints, or critiques, drop an email over at theunwashedasses@gmail.com, and we'll read them on air. We'll have a two-way conversation. And of course, we have a store. We actually have the Unwashed Asses merch now. You can get shirts, stickers, posters, prints, whatever. I have my own shirt on the way along with some stickers. We'll have a link over in the description. Otherwise, you can head over to, I should have had it ready because I'm dumb, bit.ly/TUA_merch. Again, that's bit.ly/TUA_merch. And then that's going to wrap it up. We'll have another show here for you soon. Sorry for the delay. I kind of fell off the face of the earth. Had a nasty dip in the old mental health, but I think things have turned around. So we're back on track. I appreciate your patience and understanding. But yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Blood for the blood god.